My name is Walt Abbott, and as Dower indicated, I volunteer with SCORE. SCORE is an organization that is celebrating its 50th anniversary. We were created as a part of, or as an affiliate of, the SBA, and we are free mentors to small and startup businesses. So throughout the country, we have 13,000 volunteers that meet with individuals such as you all on a one-on-one basis, and we provide mentoring here in the D.C. area. We have 50 mentors in the D.C. area. We have offices in the district as well as in Montgomery, Prince George's, Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, Manassas, and some of the other areas in the greater D.C. location. So what we primarily are trying to do is to help small and startup businesses either to start or to grow, depending upon what position you all are in. And what we have basically are retired executives such as myself. Frank indicated that Venable started in Baltimore about 100 and some years ago, and I was there when it started. So I've got a lot of experience in that. And actually, I am from Baltimore, or as we say, Balmer. And but I've lived here in the Washington area for the last 50-some years. So I'm delighted to be here, and let's start with simple steps for starting your business. SCORE has a 5-part series that we usually give during the day or in the evenings on starting a small business. And simple steps is the tag word that we use for that. This is the first and an abbreviated version of the first session, and it basically talks about how to start a business. How many of you all have a business already that's underway? Okay. How many are looking to start a business and haven't got a clue? No. Okay. All right. We have a range of people available, and we would be delighted to meet with any of you all. After the discussions, I have some pamphlets and brochures and material that I'd be happy to share with you all. But Startup Basics is all about how to really get started in a small business. Now, I've gone through all of these areas. We do one-on-one mentoring. Personally, because I'm the director of the Speakers Bureau, my main job is going around and speaking at events such as this. But I also mentor occasionally, and I will meet people anywhere in any location in this area. My favorite locations are Starbucks or Panera or what have you. So I'm not restricted to just the offices that we have, but we do have locations for everyone that would be very convenient. I've skipped 5 of the 6 myths about starting a business and just go to this last one. If you choose to be self-employed, you're limited in what you can achieve since you'll be working alone. Well, Chris is going to talk to us about how wrong that myth is. You're not limited in any way. The keys that you need are passion and cash, and sometimes one or the other of those is greater, but the very important aspect of it is how we can help, how people can help to keep you all online. So in business, just to give you a kind of a reality check, 51% of small and startup businesses succeed after 5 years. Now, the one chart that we don't show is that if you have a mentor, whether it be SCORE or whether it be the DC Economic Development Partnership or any other organization, the mentors are kind of like coaches, kind of like personal trainers, if you will. We help you stay online, we help you stay engaged, and we help answer questions that you might have that would or could conceivably create some problems. So mentors add about 10 or 12% to the success ratio of businesses after 5 years. So critical success factors. Good choice of time and location. Now, the DC Economic Development Partnership has a tremendous amount of information about location. And location is such a key. If you're not going to be working out of your home, which many of us do, many of us have home-based businesses, and in those cases, it's not necessarily as critical to have a good location unless you're having a lot of people come over. But if you're looking to start a business and you need a location, the DC Economic Development Partnership can really help you with finding and using and succeeding in a proper location itself. You have to be able to multitask. Now, I'm a good example of that in a sense in that I volunteer for SCORE, I volunteer for the Smithsonian, I volunteer for veterans, and so I am very active in doing a lot of different things, and I'm by no means doing them all well, but I'm doing them all, in many cases, frequently together. If you're going to be successful, you have to be able to multitask. Education, experience in the field. Critical area. When we have a small business or a startup that's interested in, let's say, starting a restaurant, we ask them, what is your experience in working with running a restaurant itself? And if they say, well, I've never really run a restaurant, but my grandmother has this phenomenal recipe that I'm going to use to succeed, and we say, that's great and it's fine, but you also need to be able to understand what makes a successful restaurant and what doesn't. So we would recommend that people who are starting a business actually have experience in that type of business in one form or another, either through your education or through your training and job skills. So that is a very key area. Strong work ethic goes without saying. You have to be willing and capable of working very hard. But the key thing is that if you do work hard and if you work smart, you'll be much better or much more successful than you would be otherwise. Time management, willingness to ask for input from others. That again goes back to mentoring. Starting a new business, there are like 5 or 6 different models that we have. The first is starting a new business itself. You're not hampered by previous technologies. You can choose your location, name, logo, and so forth. You can explore new markets and directions, and you can see your dreams come true. The disadvantages are listed as well. You must build all new. It's a greater risk, no track record, difficulty in getting financing, and you can see your dreams become a nightmare. All of those are true, and the key things are how to avoid or how to minimize those issues. The second would be if you buy an existing business. Now, this is where someone like Frank at Venable could be of tremendous help, because an attorney and an accountant are critical in looking at an existing business, because it exists, it has established clientele, it has some reputation and a location and all those various things. There are so many things that go into an existing business, some of which are the possibility that the clientele are so tied to the existing owner, the person who actually runs the business, that if and when that person sells, the people may disappear. I was down in Miami over New Year's, which is not a bad place to be when it's bitter cold up here. But I met with a small business that had started a fish farm, and in Miami or in the Florida area, tropical fish and exotic fish are a huge business, especially the large koi and things of that nature. Well, this fella was saying to me, and we were there to buy some fish, my daughter-in-law, and he said, we had a very successful business in Miami, but we decided to move out of Miami to Homestead because we needed more land. And I said, well, did your clientele follow you? And he said, no. And I said, did that surprise you? And he said, yes, I seriously thought that my clientele would go with me because of my reputation and all these other aspects, but it didn't happen. And so you have to be prepared if you're going to buy a business, not that he was buying one, but he was transitioning one, that there are a lot of issues and things that come up. And when you're doing it, seek assistance from an attorney, from an accountant, from a mentor, in order to be sure that you address all the various aspects of buying that business. Buying a franchise. Dower mentioned that I do work and I volunteer, I co-present a discussion on franchising with an organization called FranNet. And FranNet is an excellent organization. Again, it's a countrywide operation. And what they do is have a wealth of knowledge on a myriad of franchises in and around the Washington metropolitan area. And they get paid from the franchise in the event that an individual decides that they're interested in and then are successful at opening a franchise in one of the areas that FranNet has recognized. So the cost of the program is free to the individuals who are looking for franchises, and it's an excellent resource for anyone who would like to go into it. You can see all the advantages and disadvantages, and those are all in your notes, so I won't belabor those at this point. Home-based business. Home-based businesses are very easy to establish. They are helpful in many respects. The one thing that I've seen and heard from a lot of clients of mine that I've mentored is that you get lonely. You're in your home, you're not really meeting with other people, you're working with them either on the phone, through the computer, through whatever medium that you have, but in some cases you begin to feel rather isolated. And so there are, one of the things that this person does is once a month just get together with some other people in a meeting session, more along the lines of group therapy, and just talk about what things are going on, how things are working, what's happening, what isn't successful. And so home-based is easy to establish, but there are drawbacks and there are issues with it. Okay, an online business. Now, I was talking with Tiffany before we started, and she is an expert in technology. One of the main drawbacks of most of us at SCORE is that we are not Twitter savvy or Facebook savvy or a number of the other media that are so important in today's world. And so there are a handful of people within our organization that are, and they really take the brunt of all of the expertise in marketing and media assistance. But that's one of the issues that, you know, when you're dealing with retired people, for the most part, we've had a lot of expertise and work with computers, but we're not as anywhere near cutting edge as compared to what's happening today in today's media. So keep that in mind, and I think I'm going to be talking with Tiffany afterwards, and we may be able to set up some kinds of working relationships that will make more sense. My grandchildren are fantastic with computers, and I always draw on them whenever I have something that I need to just a definition. You know, what is a hashtag? You know, well, they're very paw. They say, what are you? You don't know what a hashtag? Anyway, okay. An entrepreneur characteristics: self-starter, resourceful, all the things that you all have. Okay, healthy. You need to be healthy because you're going to work like hell, and it's it's going to be important. But you need a supportive family too, and not just your personal family, but the greater family. One of the big drawbacks that some of my clients run into is an anxiety on the part of the spouse, and the spouse says, I don't want to see all of our savings used to start this business that I'm really not comfortable with. So one of the things that you first have to sell is your family on what it is you're trying to do, how passionate you are about what it is you're doing, how that's going to succeed, and how you're going to utilize the feedback and the support of your family. So make sure that you have your family, your parents, your children, your spouse, if you have one. All of those things are critical to making your small business a success. Multitasking, this is a list of all the things that as single entrepreneurs you're going to have to do. Now, obviously, a lot of those are things that you're not necessarily expert in. But what I do with a lot of my clients is talk to them about getting a subcontractor, someone such as you who has an expertise in a particular area. Use that person. Don't hire someone, but use a subcontractor as a resource to help get your business in that particular area going. Now, I'm going to talk about branding in a little while, but Ignacio, who is here, is a branding expert. And so there's an area where if you're interested, you can work with him on branding and some of the activities that he has going. Marketing. Marketing is a critical area and a critical part of your success. A lot of marketing today is done through social media. And the growth of social media is exponential and will just continue. So that, as an example, my wife and I are looking, or will be actually going on a trip to Africa in March. And we have a travel consultant that we've called on. And whenever I go on Gmail, which is the website that I use, information about that travel consultant comes up on Gmail. Have you thought about Classic Africa? Have you well, they were the people that we contacted in order to set this trip up. But it just feeds back in. It constantly reminds you. It's sort of like the Coca-Cola ads that I grew up with. They're ubiquitous. They're everywhere you can imagine. And so that constant branding, that constant marketing is there. You really need to create your own company interest. You need to sell your product or service because it's not going to sell itself. Just because you say, I've come up with a brilliant idea for XYZ doesn't mean that everyone else will appreciate the fact that it's brilliant. It probably is, but the point is you have to convince them that it is. And you have to prove or have to determine that it is different and better than the other organization, the other opportunity, the other business. So that if you're running an IT business, you want to make sure that it is different and better than the other IT, and you have to demonstrate exactly how it is different and better. Not just say it is, but say, here is the specific point that I have that makes me different and better from the Googles of this world or whatever organization you may be competing with. Sales, finding prospects. One of the things, again, that Keith mentioned about the DC Economic Development Partnership is demographics. And if you're able to get the specific demographics for your particular area, depending upon the nature of your business, let's say, for instance, you want to open a restaurant. I have a client who is starting a restaurant on Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. And there is an organization there called Friends of Rhode Island Avenue. And Keith is going to be taking a bus over there to show other people who and what type of businesses and what areas are available in the end of January. So I talked to this person about what is your demographic? What is it that you're looking to draw from? And he had a very specific and clear outline of all of the opportunities that are available for his particular type of restaurant in that area. It's critical. You need to know if, number one, there is a sufficient market for what you're trying to do, and if that market is available within the area that you're looking to start up. Now, a lot of businesses that you all are going to be working on will not be limited by a geographic area, but more along the lines of what kinds of IT and email and Facebook and Twitter and that sort of thing are being accessed. So it would be a different demographic study, but it would still be a critical area for you to dig into. Preparing bids. My sister or my daughter-in-law in Florida has a small business, and she was interested in bidding to Santa Clara, California for the business that she has. And she got this contract that had a wealth of insurance obligations to it. And I read over it for her, and I explained to her that these are standard requirements for working with a municipality, whether it's DC, whether it's Santa Clara, whether it's whatever. So the key things are getting assistance for putting your bids together, knowing what you're doing, making sure that you're not overcommitting when you do put a bid together, because whether it be a municipality or a private industry, a lot of the contract language could be rather complicated. Products and services, you want to define your offering. The green ones in the bottom are the key. Who needs it? And be very, very specific. Who is it that needs this product? Don't just say, well, the entire District of Columbia needs it. They may, but the key thing is they are not the real critical slice that you're looking for. Why do they need it? How is it different or better? That's getting back to the point that I made a little earlier. Those are all key things, and it's not necessary that you have the newest Apple iPhone to be different and better. It's just that you understand I can do this a little differently from the way that my competitors do it, and I think it's better. I think it makes some sense. Okay. Location, niche marketing, competition, distribution, and merchandising. Statistics, information, DC economic development, all are critical areas in getting this information. The libraries have a lot of this information as well. It's readily available, and the research librarians are always happy to help work with you on a particular question or issue if you need some assistance with it. Branding is different from marketing in that it's creating a name recognition. It's a market identity, and it's advertising. Those are all key areas. And so think about Coca-Cola is a product, but its brand is the name, and its brand is the reputation that it has. So it all depends on what people think of it, whether it be here in the United States or all over the world, because it is located all over the world. One of my more interesting clients when I was working in the insurance industry was the Mars Corporation, the candy bar company. 50% of their sales, 50% of Mars's sales is in pet food. Now, most of us didn't know that. I didn't know that. But that was really how they started in 1925, 1930. And so we went around to various manufacturing sites all over the world, and it was a great trip. I went to Munich, I went to Paris, I went to Vienna, I went to London, I went to Milan in Italy. Great cities. Didn't see any of them. I landed at the airport, they drove me to the factory, we drove back to the hotel, I had dinner, we flew out the next day. Had a wonderful tour, but I didn't see any. The only thing I saw were all the buildings passing by. But you have to adjust your brand and you have to adjust your product according to the area that you're in. Now, in their example, if they were selling candy or chocolate, if they're selling it in Switzerland, it's a completely different product than it is in the United States, just because Swiss chocolate is a considerably different product. So when you're putting your ideas together, think about the areas that you need to be aware of. Okay. Price. Don't underestimate the value of your product, the value of your service. All of us, or I can't say all of us, but most of us feel, well, if I charge less, I'm going to get more income, or I'm going to get more opportunities. Not necessarily. I felt when I started my own business that I was a little insecure about asking for the amount of hourly rate that I wanted, or that I felt that I needed in order to succeed. But at the end of the day, I had to sell myself first that I was worth it, just like L'Oreal, you know. I was worth doing and charging the rates that I did. So don't undersell, don't underestimate the product or the price. Obviously, when you're in a competitive situation, you may need to be, you must be aware of what your competitors are selling it for. But don't try to undersell. You'll never beat Walmart. Walmart is so huge, and they buy in such mega amounts that you can't undersell them. So keep in mind what it is and how important that it is. Okay. Competition. Think about how much you need, the size of the operation, the services provided. All of those things are key. Reputation is critical. Now, establishing your reputation is not easy unless you have a wealth of contacts that will, in fact, be clients. I was fortunate when I retired from the insurance industry and opened my own business. I had a wealth of contacts, and one of the first ones that called me was Clark Construction, and I think you have all probably seen the Clark Construction signs all over the city. Well, they're all over the country, actually. And so I went to work as a consultant in risk management with Clark Construction. Networking, relationships, critical, very, very helpful. Your friends and family, very important. The business organizations, I won't go into any great detail on this, but there are several that you want to think about if and when you're going to set up your business. Sole proprietorship is the simplest and easiest. You get the forms and information, you set up a sole proprietorship. The drawback with it is that, I mean, the ease of it is it's very simple from a paperwork standpoint. Everything runs through your personal income tax, so you don't have to have a separate business tax form or any of those other things. But you're not protected personally. All your personal assets are exposed as a result of being a sole proprietorship. So as an example, if you're selling a product and for some reason that product actually fails or someone actually gets injured or ill as a result of it, the person could then bring a claim against you, not just for your business assets, but also for your personal assets. So your home, your car, your 401k, any personal assets are at risk. The limited liability company, the LLC, separates that and creates a barrier between your personal assets and your business assets, so that when the LLC is set up, the only thing that the injured individual can go after are your business assets. They cannot get to your personal assets like your home or your savings or any of those other things. A C corporation is designed for typically really huge companies, or not huge, but much bigger companies. So it isn't something that we typically would get involved in with our small and startup businesses. And the subchapter S corporation, again, is similar to the LLC in that it provides a barrier and protection. Each of them has some pros and cons, but either one of those is really important. Keep it simple. When you're starting up, set it up the way it outlines, a sole proprietorship or a limited liability company. Don't try to you're not going to have a huge volume of stockholders or any of those other things, at least initially. We expect each of you guys to be on the New York Stock Exchange at some point. I just can't take any information from it because part of my ethics obligation at SCORE is that I can't benefit from your successes. I can just help you make them. Insurance considerations, property, liability, all those various aspects. If you're opening a home business, notify your home insurance or your renter's insurance that you are opening a business. They will note it on your policy. There won't be an additional charge, typically. Most of the insurance carriers don't add an expense to your home, as long as your home business isn't something as exotic or as complicated as child care. That would be a whole different kettle of fish. But if you're working as a consultant and you just primarily have an office and a computer and that sort of thing, notify your home insurance carrier. They'll put that on there, and so that in the event that someone actually comes and visits you on business and they slip and fall, then your homeowner's insurance will protect you. On your personal auto insurance, notify your auto insurance carrier that you have a business. They will endorse the policy. There will be a small charge for that, but in the event that you're driving your vehicle on company business and you have an accident, your personal auto insurance will cover that as well. Okay. Government regulations. Talk with Keith. Right, Keith? All the government regulations. You can handle it.
Absolutely.
There you go. That's right. There you go. Now, keep it simple. You need these people. Now, a lawyer is a critical part of your operation. You don't need to have them right off the bat, but you definitely need to have these people in order to be successful. Funding and cash management, personal budget considerations. Just like I'm the worst example of this. I have a personal budget, but it's kind of in my head and it's not written down, and I really should have have it, and we should spell out all of the various things that we need in order to be successful. Again, this is helping get your spouse or your family on board if you are recognizing what are the issues, what are the financial aspects that you're going to have to be aware of. Startup cash needs. Startup cash is one thing, like if you're going to start up a retail store, you have a whole series of startup expenses. Operating cash is after you get it started, what are the expenses that you have ongoing that you need to be aware of. The sources of capital, lots and lots of different places. The SBA is one where we can help you get loans, but the banks right now are kind of tight. So your community banks, your local banks, your savings and loan associations, your credit unions, all of those are good areas that you might be considering for sources of capital. Character, commitment, credit rating, cash flow, collateral, and capital. Those are what we call the 7 C's, and that's kind of critical for you when you're putting your presentation together to get a loan. Cash is your most important asset. As I said at the beginning, passion and cash make the success work. And this is the end of my presentation, but I really thank you guys so much for coming. It's a delight. I look forward to visiting with you afterwards. And now you'll probably hear from someone who's been extraordinarily successful, unlike me, and is still ongoing. So thanks again. Appreciate it. Thank you.